Let's call this Monday, September 23rd, 2024, Almont Community Schools Board of Education meeting to order at 7 o'clock p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Walton, could you do roll call, please?
Mr. Burrow.
Here.
Mr. Wade.
Here.
Ms. Frederickson.
here.
Mr. St. Anne.
Here.
Mr. Rosé. Absent. Mr. Walton here. Ms. Smith.
Here.
6 members.
Brings us to adoption of agenda, additions and deletions. Mrs. Van Heltmeyer. None?
None.
Okay. This brings us to communications. Mrs. Van Heltmeyer.
I think we have a student council rep here for us tonight.
Hello, is this thing on? All right. So far, Student Council has decided this year's homecoming theme. It's going to be City of Stars. Our spirit weeks are Tuesday, Sports Day, Wednesday, Disney, Thursday, Country/Country Club, and obviously Friday is Orange and Black. Student Council is also hoping to add more floats to the parade this year, just to give it a longer, more exciting parade. Tutoring has begun on Tuesdays and Thursdays for NHS, and seniors will meet this Tuesday to decide this year's motto for this class. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Greater Communication. Mr. Spears here. And he will be presenting on our 8th grade update communications. Thank you, Mr. Spears, for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for giving me some of your time tonight to talk about some 8th grade initiatives. That is obviously our mission and vision here. I always like to include that at the beginning of any presentation. And like I said, our spotlight today is going to be on 8th grade. This first month has really been about trying to make sure that 8th grade feels acclimated and welcome to Almont High School. Some of the initiatives that we have gone forward with that I'm going to talk about tonight are the 8th grade orientation, our 8th grade roadmap and information night, our 8th grade spaghetti dinner meeting, our 8th grade or our grade level town hall feedback from grades 8 through 12. So we collected feedback from everybody, including the 8th graders, about some of those 8th grade initiatives. And then one-on-one 8th grader meetings and snapshots, a little more anecdotal, less formal type stuff. Some of the barriers to include right off the bat is that, due to the events of last school year, the temperature check I got around the building when I came in is that 8th grade felt overlooked. Additionally, the student sentiment amongst Almont High School is very mixed regarding the presence of 8th graders in the building. I'll be honest with you, there's some work that needs to be done to try and help the upper grades feel, understand why it's important to make sure that we have those 8th graders feel welcome and feel at home at the high school building. It's a real mixed bag, and I'll get to that a little bit more when I get into that feedback from the grade level meetings. And then finally, due to the age of the students, 8th graders have some limitations with participation, feedback, and input. I really like to think as high school as that time of a student's life where we're building capacity and self-advocacy and independence, whereas in middle school we're kind of at that foundational level. So transitioning them over to this high school is really trying to make sure we get them on track with that capacity building, and we're just getting there, right? We're working on that. So because of that, there's just they're kind of more at the whim of like what their parents and what their families are doing, as opposed to, being able to stay after for things or being able to participate with a little more agency like some of our upperclassmen. So the 8th grade orientation night, I've mentioned this before, but that was a success. It was great. We had 88% of the grade level attend. We had 38 families sign up to help with initiatives. And then the feedback we got were 44% of the people that attended and provided feedback felt that it was helpful and informative. 44% felt that it was somewhat helpful. And then like 12% said it was fine. We had no negative feedback. The worst we got was, it was fine. So I can live with that. I'm good with that. As far as the 8th grade roadmap information night, this was a qualified success. All the families who attended were very happy. They felt that the responses to the questions made sense and it satisfied them, and they could see kind of the reasoning behind that. But I put an asterisk there and called it qualified because there were some factors that kind of limited the participation in that event. Specifically, this was the night we had that crazy storm that you probably are familiar with that knocked our power out the next day. So we had the power outage that happened like 20 minutes before the event. We had a power outage 30 minutes into the event. And then we had the inclement weather as well. Of the parents that attended, a lot of them did tell me like, hey, more of us were intending to come, but because of the weather, we just kind of assumed it was canceled. We showed up because, we didn't get an official message, so we showed up anyway. And ultimately had about 8 parents attend. And then the event ended early because the power went out and did not come back on. So again, qualified success. As far as the spaghetti dinner, it's a slow start, I'll be honest with you. We've had 2 meetings after school for the spaghetti dinner, once on the 9th and once on the 16th. I did advertise these in the community newsletter. Between those 2 meetings, we had 1 student show up on September 16th. This student stated that there were some barriers there. They originally wanted to come to the last meeting, but they are in sports after school, and they had a couple of friends as well who are in athletics that just prevented them from being at that meeting. Additionally, a couple of her friends as well said that they had, again, kind of at the whims of their parents and their schedule, they had to get a ride home after school, were not able to attend. And ultimately, that's kind of what my staff sponsor and I are realizing about this, is you really need to mobilize those parents more and dip kind of more into that well of support and like momentum. So my staff sponsor did reach out to those 38 families, and right now we're just kind of waiting on that response. To be honest, it may be an October spaghetti dinner. There may not be a spaghetti dinner. I'm not going to force people to eat spaghetti, but we are going to try. We're going to keep trying to stick to this roadmap and doing our best effort to make sure that the 8th graders feel included and supported here. That brings me to the next point, which was our town hall. So at the beginning of the school year, Mr. Zimmerman and I, our AD athletic director and dean, he and I met with all the students by grade level and kind of broke down like our initiatives and sort of our expectations at the beginning of the year. But we also asked for feedback specifically around the 8th grade initiatives. I wanted feedback from every single grade level. I'm happy to say that the majority of the students of all grade levels are either interested in 8th grade initiatives or at least did not feel strongly one way or the other about it, which I'm fine with that. If upper grades feel like it doesn't impact them either way, that's great. That's good. And then to me in particular, when I looked at these, I felt that the 12th grade and the 9th grade were really the most supportive and welcoming of the 8th grade folks. The 12th grade was really in that more just like, it doesn't really impact me, so I'm fine with them being here population. And then the 9th grade were like, yeah, we love it. We're excited to have them here and help them out. So the 10th and 11th grade, I'm going to work with them a little bit more. And again, I wouldn't say that there was a lot of like negativity so much as, again, the 12th graders are like, yeah, sure, it's cool that they're here. And the 9th graders are like, we love it kind of thing. And you can see the little pie charts I pulled. We had 343 responses across all the grade levels. This is embedded in the slide deck, so I'm sorry, I know that's a little small. But essentially we have for being welcoming 8th graders and having them be more involved in our school, we had 28% say they're against it. That's flat across 8 through 12. We had 20% say, sounds good, 100% all in. We had 22% say, yeah, I'm willing to try it. That sounds good to me. And then again, the overwhelming majority at 0.9% said, no strong feeling one way or the other. So we have, again, that 28% who's like, I don't really like this. And then the rest of everybody else who's varies between like, sounds great and I don't care. And then the roadmap of events between all grade levels, a majority, 52% said, doesn't really bother me one way or the other, which again, for 9 through 12, I think is a great thing. And as we break that down by 8th grade, right, I wanted to filter that out because those are all 8 through 12. But for the 8th grade specifically, we had 85 out of 99 total 8th graders. So that's about 86% of the class there complete this feedback survey included in those 343 responses. 41 out of 85, so it's just about 50%, just a little bit less of them, said, that sounds great. Like, I'm excited about the roadmap. Everything on there is amazing. 19% of those students reported they're willing to try it. Like, they want, still good, sounds fine to me. And then 33% of them said they have no strong feelings one way or the other. Nobody said they're against it, which is good for me to hear too, because again, that means for me that 67% of 8th graders are excited or interested, and 33% feel indifferent. I'm okay with that. Those are numbers I can work with. And then finally, we had our one-on-one 8th grade meetings and snapshots. So every day, I like to pull at least one 8th grader to the side during B lunch, which is where their lunch is, and ask them these same 3 questions. So I've asked about 20 kids so far. We've had about 16 days of school with students, and I've pulled a couple extra ones on certain days. And again, the feedback I get is that every single student I talk to was enjoying their year so far. everybody felt welcomed, which is great. And then most of them, when they ask them about what they're excited about, are saying either specifically homecoming or just in general being able to participate in school dances. This is a little bit more of an informal data, so that's why I kind of included it at the end. But it's still good. It helps me get those kind of like temperature checks when I talk to 8th grade students. And since I'm in the cafeteria every day anyway, it's good for me to just kind of talk and get to know them and get to get this feedback from them. With that being said, though, that brings me to the end of my presentation to you all. Is there any questions from anybody who is permitted to ask questions at this time?
I would just like to say thank you. That's just exciting and keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And appreciate all of you too, students. I see some people that I've talked to and worked with, so thank you for that. And
Mr.
yeah.
Spear, thank you so much for taking all the time and really jumping on this initiative for us to ensure that our 8th graders are feeling welcome to the Almont High School. So thank you for all your efforts.
Absolutely. Thank you for trusting me with this.
Of course.
Then how do I get out of here?
That will bring us to the first questions and comments for our audience. As a reminder, this is not two-way communication. Any items that need to be followed up or further investigated, our superintendent, Mrs. Von Heltmeyer, will do so. At this time, is there anybody in the audience that would like to be recognized? Okay, there will be another opportunity at the end of the meeting. Questions and comments from the board? Consent agenda.
Ms. Smith,
Mr. Wilson,
I move the Board of Education approve the consent agenda. A, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting, August 26th, 2024. B, approval of the minutes from the work session, September 17th, 2024.
Support.
motion and support, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Wade,
I move the Board of Education approve the bills payable and the financial reports as proposed by administration and reviewed by the Finance Committee as follows. August 16th, 2024 to September 13th, 2024, general fund total, $283,759.42. School lunch fund, $29,685.57. Student activity fund, $22,258.70. 2014 sinking fund, $10,304.14. 2013 refunding bonds, 0. 2016 refunding bonds, 0. 2021 Series A refunding bonds, 0. 2021 Series B refunding bonds, 0. Subtotal, $346,007.83. ACH wire transactions, payroll, August 16th through September 13th, $902,878.00. EduStat, $1,396.54. Health Equity, HSA, $31,955.63. Credit card, BMO, $27,921.81. Health insurance, $105,639.64. 2013 refunding bonds, 0. 2016 refunding bonds, 0. 2021 Series A refunding bonds, 0. 2021 Series B refunding bonds, 0. State aid note payments, $458,351.19. QZAB Energy, 0. Arbiter pay, $10,000.00. Pro care fees, 0. Meal Magic fees, 0. Total funds spent, $1,884,150.64. Check numbers and voided checks as listed below.
Support.
motion and support, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Please make sure you take acknowledgement of the Orchard Primary, Middle School, and High School student activity accounts.
Okay. Start with the building reports here from Orchard Primary, Principal Adam Bruno. Things are off to a running start at OP as we've really started to settle in. Students are in the midst of NWA testing, DRA testing, and other formative benchmark testing. This is super important information as we determine our students' strengths and areas for growth. On September 25th and 26th, we'll have our first data day of the year. This is where we will dive into this data, determine which students qualify for Title I support, create our WIN groups, etc. We've also been very fortunate and very grateful for Mr. Shiflett's extensive OP support. He's been instrumental supporting students in need of academic support, as well as becoming a great person for many of our students. OP had our Watchdog kickoff event on September 5th and had a great turnout. Dads heard about what it means to be a watchdog and learned how they'll be supporting STEAM this year as well. We've had lots of dads sign up to be part of Watchdogs and become a positive force in students' lives. Speaking of parental involvement, we had our first breakfast with Bruno of the year. Attendees and Mr. Bruno discussed OP's STEAM rollout, how title funding works, and the importance of open, transparent communication between school and home. So there's a lot of things going on at OP as they kick off the year. Per Ms. Lewis, at the middle school, NWA MAP growth testing is underway. Teachers and support staff have facilitated MAP growth testing for 4th through 7th grade students in math and reading. The WIN reading interventions, AMS has launched the WIN What I Need interventions. 4th and 5th grade students identified as needing additional reading support are receiving targeted, individualized, research-based interventions in decoding and reading comprehension. PTSO, middle school is excited to announce that they will be holding its annual fun run on Friday, October 18th. The PTSO staff and families are working together to gather sponsors and donations for the only fundraiser that the middle school sponsors for the year. We would like to extend a thank you in advance to the families and community members for supporting the school again, the middle school again this year. The Positivity Project update, the middle school has launched the revamped Positivity Project initiative this school year. Students will receive explicit instruction and practice in their classrooms, as well as participate in team and culture building activities across grade levels. Also, they are excited to announce that they are bringing back workshops and raffles this year to celebrate students exhibiting positive behavior, highlighting the P2 character strengths and upholding BRAC expectations. They're looking forward to another positive school year and would like to thank Fort County Community Foundation for providing generous grant funding to support the Positivity Project again this year at Almont Middle School. For the high school here, per Mr. Spear, as the year opened, Mr. Zimmerman and Mr. Spear met with the students by grade in the auditorium. During that time, they rolled out behavior expectations as well as some important things to know about policies and procedures in the building. They also rolled out a new Grader Renown system, a citizenship initiative that rewards students for participating in school events and being good Almont High School citizens. Over 300 students of all grade levels completed the feedback survey, showing positive results towards Grader Renown, quarterly grade level town halls, and 8th grade initiatives. Mr. Sosnowski and his yearbook team received the Yearbook Award of Excellence from Jostens this year. The award was the silver level. His program was recognized under the categories of meeting all deadlines and creating an inclusive yearbook. This is Mr. Suzz's 20th year of overseeing the Almont High School yearbook. Based on his knowledge, he is the longest serving yearbook advisor by consecutive years in the history of that school district. We're extremely proud of him and his team for their award-winning job cataloging and preserving our best AHS memories year after year. Also, Mr. Spears, and kudos to him, big focus has been around restorative practices. The high school staff has been actively involved in discussions about what restorative practices might look like at Almont High School. Together with Mr. Spear and the staff, they're developing an agreement for restorative practices and how they can norm them throughout the building. That's for high school. I also, just a quick recap of our BWAC Sportsmanship Summit. If you were able to see maybe some photos online or through social media, just want to thank Mr. Zimmerman for all of his work and efforts to offer the BWAC Sportsmanship Summit back on last week, September 18th. Yes, yours truly I guess I volunteered our district to get it back on track, and Mr. Zimmerman was charged with that event. So that was 6 student athletes from each of the BWAC schools coming to our school here along with their athletic directors. Students were greeted by keynote speaker, Mr. Bush. He's the assistant director of the MHSAA. So it was a very successful event. Saw a ton of pictures and had some conversations with a couple students, and anything ranged, the topics range from student section etiquette to how to speak with referees and deal with conflict. So very thankful to all of our partners as well at the Village Shirt Company for helping us to secure the BWAC shirts, Rosa's Pizza of Almont helping us out with lunch, giving us some good deals, and of course, Fort County Community Foundation. I was able to secure a grant late this summer for this BWAC event. So just wanted to send out special thank yous, and as always, Debbie Lemon for always being, that right-hand man for all of our athletic events and opportunities. So thank you for that. Just also wanted to highlight some district highlights here. Our next Sinking Fund Community Forum will be held on Wednesday, October 23rd at 6 o'clock in the high school auditorium. This meeting will consist of an overview of the Sinking Fund proposal and a Q&A session. A district-wide tour will also follow for those who are interested. In the meantime, if you see me around the school community, I'll be providing information about the Sinking Fund proposal. Please stop by and chat with me, and I'll have some informational documents to share out with you. If you haven't visited our website yet, please check out our Sinking Fund information. You can go to our website at your earliest convenience, and find a couple of my presentations along with the recordings, a millage chart, and I'm also adding an FAQ, actually, as we speak, an FAQ document to the website. Our first safety committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 21st at 6:30 in the media center here at the high school. Officer Manning will be present to discuss her recommendations for future safety projects for our district. And we're looking forward to hearing from our community as well, their input. And please mark your calendars. Homecoming 2024 is on October 11th. Also wanted to shout out one more announcement. Our board meeting next month, due to, I'm sure, an outstanding play coming our way here in November, we will be having our regular board meeting in the high school media center at 7 o'clock. So that's our regular board meeting on October 28th in the high school media center. Just wanted to make sure that was announced. Thank you. I know that was a lot, but we have a lot of good things going on.
Yeah, I had a quick question as well. The BWAC summit, is that the same district that hosts that every year, or is that?
No, so it was, from my understanding, it was something that has been hosted years back, maybe pre-COVID, and it hasn't gotten back on track. So when I was meeting with the superintendents this summer, they needed a district to volunteer, and I volunteered.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, it was a great event, and I'm really thankful for our partners to make that happen. Yeah.
Okay, going to-
I'd like to thank Ms. Bond for getting that going. I have been a part of that in the past, and one of the things that it does is it helps to teach leadership to our kids, and that is incredibly important, so thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate all your hard work with that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mrs. Blackhawk? We're going to finance.
We have the snow removal contract. When the purchase of and contract for single items of supplies, materials, or equipment exceeds the amount designated by statute, the district shall obtain competitive bids, policy 6320. While snow maintenance is a service, not a supply, material, or piece of equipment, it has been the district's practice to follow this approval process. In August 2023, we went out for bid for snow removal services. Only one bid was received. We awarded the contract to Yard Services with the option to renew yearly for 2 years, 3 years total. It is the recommendation of the maintenance director to renew our contract for the upcoming season. Recommended by committee 2-0.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Wade,
I move the Board of Education move to renew the contract with Yard Services for snow removal services from October 15th, 2024 to May 1st, 2025.
Support?
motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Going to copy your contract. The Board of Education must approve by law and policy the purchase of any item or group of items in a single transaction costing more than $10,000. Policy 6325, purchasing contracted services. We are renewing our lease with Brady's Business as they are competitive, reliable, and staff is familiar with their equipment. Reviewed and discussed by committee 2-0.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Wade,
I move the Board of Education agree to the monthly lease with Brady's Business Systems for 63 months as attached.
Support?
motion and support. Any discussion?
63 months. As I missed the work session, 63 months seems odd. Is that to put it towards a time in between break, or so if we, in 5 years and 3 months, if we have to make a change, we'd have time to.
The time, right, for the process.
Make a change.
Yes. Mhm. Yep.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Sinking fund? For policy 6320, purchasing and the continuing efforts to improve our school district's facilities, requests for proposals will need to be submitted for the following work. Almont High School exhaust fans, Almont High School fire alarm, OP, Almont Middle School, Almont High School rekeying, OP window replacement, district-wide select door and hardware replacement. Purchases in a single transaction that are in excess of the dollar amount permitted by state statute shall require competitive bids and whenever possible, have at least 3 such bids for substantiation to purchase and shall require approval of the board prior to purchase.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Wade?
I move the Board of Education approve the authorization for the maintenance director to obtain RFPs for the above projects.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
On to personnel resignations. The Board of Education may agree to a resignation or retirement at any time after replacement if necessary, suitable to the school administration and the board is obtained, provided that the circumstances underlying the resignation, retirement are valid in the opinion of the board and warrant a search for replacement. Mrs. Laura Skinner has resigned from her role as resource room teacher at Almont Middle School to take a position in another district. Discussed, recommended by committee, 3-0.
Mrs. Smith?
Mr. Burrow?
I move the Board of Education accept the resignation of Laura Skinner and wish her well.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
New hires, the Board of Education approves all personnel. We are welcoming Mrs. Andrea Ropes as the new resource room teacher at Almont Middle School. Mrs. Ropes has over 20 years of experience in the classroom and is currently working towards her master's degree in special education with a concentration in autism spectrum disorders. Ms. Lewis is excited to have her working with our 4th and 5th graders. Mr. Bruno is excited to welcome back a recent Almont High School graduate, Nova Schmidt, as a new paraprofessional in one of our Orchard Primary CI rooms. Nova previously worked in the Links program at Almont High School and has gained some experience subbing as a para for the first couple weeks of the school year. Orchard Primary is welcoming another paraprofessional in our CI room, Mrs. Nicole Hallman. Mrs. Hallman has been an active parent in the Almont schools, and we look forward to having her join the staff at Orchard Primary. Discussed, recommended by committee, 3-0.
Mrs. Smith?
Mr. Burrow?
I move the Board of Education approves the new hires, Andrea Ropes, Nova Schmidt, and Nicole Hallman, and welcome them to our district.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
Ms. Smith?
Yes, Mr. Wall?
Ms. Brown, I just want to note how important this is with these classes are getting the help that they need. Do we have enough coverage in all the buildings?
As a matter of fact, your question is very timely as we are meeting with our special education director tomorrow. So we are going just to make sure that our numbers are consistent with district support. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Change in teacher pay. In order to be eligible to advance from one lane on the salary schedule to a higher lane, a teacher must make written proof of the completion of courses and/or degree requirements in the form of an official transcript of credits from the institution from which the credits were earned. Master agreement between the Board of Education and the Almont Education Association. Shannon Chaka is moving from a master's 15 to a master's plus 30. Discussed and recommended by committee, 3-0.
Mrs. Smith?
Mr. Burrow?
I move the Board of Education advance Shannon Chaka to the appropriate level of the salary schedule in accordance with provisions outlined in the master agreement between the Board of Education and the Almont Education Association, and commend her for her commitment to continued learning.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. That will bring us to our second opportunity for questions and comments from the audience. As a reminder, this is not two-way communication. Anything that needs to be followed up or further investigated, our superintendent, Mrs. Von Feltmeyer, will do so. If you would like to be recognized, please come up to the microphone and state your first and last name. Would anybody like to be recognized in the audience at this time? Okay. Questions and comments from the Board of Education?
Ms. Smith?
Mr. Walton?
Ms. Vaughn, we talked about it a little bit before the meeting, but again, there's been a little bit of hype about Ben Schurig and his touchdown Friday. And just want to say again, thank you to Coach Rich Davidowski, Coach Jeff Polsky, and then also to the Algonac team, their coaches, as well as the referees for Friday.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Wade?
I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Zimmerman. He's come in and he's busted his butt. He's got a group of coaches that have been pretty independent in terms of getting things done themselves, and he's there helping them out. He's got a great attitude. That's one of the things talking with the other coaches throughout, that they love the attitude and the work that he's putting in. So I just want to commend him for it.
Thank you.
I'd like to say I've heard from across the board from hearings at the OP, at the middle school, and at the high school. Our staff and our admin is this year sounds like they're tremendous. So, and it's very exciting, and I think it's great for the district. And the football game on Friday night, the Orange Out game, was very, very nice, and it was nice to see all the support, and it was very enjoyable for the community to come together.
Thank you very much.
Any future agenda items? No?
Ms. Smith?
Mr. Walton?
I move Board of Education go into closed session at 7:32 PM for the superintendent's quarterly review.
Support.
Motion and support. Roll call, right, Mr. Walton?
No, we can just do the.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. So at this time, the Board of Education has determined that the current goals that our superintendent is working on in governance and board relations. Oh, I forgot my paper. Okay, Dallas, do you have the, I'm sorry. Let me grab that one.
She's trying to identify the dozen. Thank you.
Okay, so in governance and board relations, school development, and then in community relations, communications with community and parents. And for business and finance, budget development and management are being effectively and efficiently met. And at this time, we have added a new goal of district image. Right?
Yes.
Perfect. Yes. Okay.
Ms. Smith,
Mr. Wilson,
I move the Board of Education adjourn the September 23rd, 2024 regular meeting at 8:54 PM.
Support.
motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.